Hello everyone, and welcome back. I hope you're all doing well and staying hopeful, because today's update is going to be absolutely explosive. We have some potentially massive news developing, and it could directly impact millions of lives across the country. So buckle up, stay with me, and don't miss a second of this. We are talking about May 2nd, a date that could go down in history if everything lines up the way it's being hinted. Could we finally see the confirmation of a huge new stimulus? The signs are there, the chatter is loud, and the stakes couldn't be higher. This is the moment we've all been waiting for, or at least, the moment that could finally kickstart real change after months of uncertainty, hardship, and broken promises. Let's start by setting the stage. For more than a year now, Americans have been navigating a brutal economic landscape. Yes, politicians have been telling us that inflation is cooling and that jobs are bouncing back. But the reality for everyday people tells a very different story. Gas prices are unpredictable. Grocery bills are draining wallets. Rent is sky-high. And healthcare costs? Don't even get me started. The so-called recovery hasn't reached everyone, and millions are still living paycheck to paycheck, drowning in debt, and sacrificing essentials just to survive. And in the middle of all this, Washington has been dragging its feet, bickering, finger-pointing, and kicking the can down the road while real people continue to suffer. But now, there's a surge of energy and undeniable urgency, and May 2nd is right at the center of it all. Over the past several weeks, we've seen a shift, a real, tangible shift. Behind closed doors, lawmakers have been meeting, negotiating, and scrambling to put anything, together that can deliver meaningful relief. Initially, it was just whispers, just cautious optimism. But now, the momentum has become a full-blown roar. Sources close to the negotiations are saying that May 2nd could be the day when a major stimulus package is announced. And not just the tiny piecemeal efforts we've seen floated in the past, but something massive. Something that could send direct payments to individuals, boost support for families, help struggling seniors, and provide desperately needed economic fuel to communities that are still gasping for breath. What's driving this sudden rush of action? It's simple: pressure. Pressure from voters who are fed up. Pressure from advocacy groups who refuse to stay silent. Pressure from economic experts warning that without immediate intervention, we could see a second wave of financial hardship that could dwarf what we saw during the pandemic years. And let's not forget the pressure from state and local governments, who are struggling to meet the needs of their citizens without additional federal support. All of these forces are converging, and they're forcing Washington to pay attention whether they want to or not. Now, let's talk about what's actually on the table. Reports suggest that several proposals are being seriously considered. The first, and arguably the most exciting, is a direct stimulus payment, potentially ranging from $1,200 to $2,000 per eligible individual. Yes, you heard that right. $2,000 is back on the table. Lawmakers who once said no are now saying maybe, and those who said maybe are now pushing for yes. But that's not all. Expanded child tax credits are also being discussed, with some proposals suggesting monthly payments to families with young children to help with the soaring cost of living. Enhanced unemployment benefits could also return, providing extra support for those who have been unable to find stable work in this rocky economic environment. In addition, housing assistance programs are under discussion, aimed at preventing a surge in evictions and foreclosures, especially as more Americans fall behind on rent and mortgage payments. There's even talk about boosting Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, benefits to address food insecurity, which has sadly become a daily reality for millions. In short, this isn't just about handing out checks. It's about reinforcing the safety net that so many families are dangling from right now. But as you might expect, not everyone is cheering. Opponents of the stimulus effort are raising red flags about the federal deficit, warning about the potential long-term impacts of increased government spending. Some are worried that injecting more money into the economy could reignite inflation just when it's beginning to ease. They argue that the best path forward is austerity, not additional spending. However, critics of that argument point out that austerity could actually deepen the suffering of everyday people, causing economic contraction and widespread instability. It's a high-stakes debate, and it's playing out in real time, with May 2nd looming large on the horizon. And here's where the drama thickens even more. Even those traditionally opposed to new spending are starting to waver. Why? Because the political pressure is becoming unbearable. An election season is creeping closer, and voters have made it abundantly clear that they want action, not excuses. Any politician seen as standing in the way of relief risks facing the wrath of the voters at the ballot box. Polls show overwhelming support for additional stimulus across party lines. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, people are united in their demand for help. That political reality is forcing even the most reluctant lawmakers to come to the table, if only to save their own skins. Another powerful force behind the scenes? Governors and mayors. They are sounding the alarm loudly and publicly. Cities and states are stretched thin. Public services are underfunded. Local economies are fragile. Without federal intervention, they warn, we could see a wave of bankruptcies, layoffs, and social unrest that could ripple across the nation. Their warnings are not being taken lightly. Washington knows that if the states fall, the federal government will face an even bigger and costlier crisis down the road. Meanwhile, the White House has been monitoring the situation with intense focus. While staying relatively quiet publicly, insiders say that senior officials are fully prepared to step in and push for a deal if negotiations stall. The president himself is reportedly being briefed daily on the situation, and contingency plans are being drawn up. Some insiders have even hinted that if a stimulus package is confirmed, it could be accompanied by a major televised address to the nation. A bold move to rally support and outline exactly how the relief would work. So what happens next? Over the coming days leading up to May 2nd, expect a flurry of activity. Intense negotiations, last-minute deal-making, political horse trading, and yes, expect plenty of drama. Will there be surprises? Almost certainly. Will there be setbacks? Probably. But make no mistake, the energy is different this time. There's a real sense that something big is coming, something that could provide the kind of lifeline so many Americans have been desperately hoping for. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. Until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and never stop believing that better days are just around the corner. I'll see you in the next one.